5 acres doesn't come with an equipment list, so the dealer writes one for you. And every line he writes down makes him money whether or not it makes your Saturday any shorter. So here's the whole list up front, before I've earned it. 5 machines cover just about everything a 5-acre place asks of you. A 25 horsepower compact with a loader, a root grapple, a land plane, a 5-foot rotary cutter, and 1 mower. By the end of this, you'll know what that stack really costs. You'll know the $40,000 of iron that gets sold alongside it, and you'll know which of that iron you can just rent twice a year. Now once, and then I'll never bring it up again. Walk onto a lot Saturday with nothing but this video in your head, and you'll still get talked into one thing off my skip list. Everybody does. That's what the room is built to do. The compact tractor buyer's vault is this. Printed, and in your hand, the 50-point used inspection. The dealer scripts word for word. The honest loader numbers. $30 once at ironandacreage.com. First link below. One bad ad on costs $8,000. Go get it before you go shopping. All right, 2 numbers. Buy that stack the way I'd buy it. Tractor new, implement smart mower used commercial, and you're around $34,000 with the forks. All used and patient, closer to 23. All new off the showroom floor, near 37. The skip list runs about $40,000 on top of that. A backhoe attachment. The bigger tractor you got upsold into. A brand new residential zero-turn, and the food plot kit. Not one of those is a scam. Every one is a real machine that does a real job. They're just the wrong machines for 5 acres, and I'll show you the receipts on each. Start with the tractor, because everything else hangs off it. The thesis on this channel has always been the L2501 class, and here's a correction on air, because I've said that number in 3 videos. Kubota replaced it. The standard L series now reads L2502. Same machine, new badge. Go looking for an L2501 on a new lot and you'll get a puzzled look. Now, that machine, the John Deere 3025E, the Keo TCK 2620, the Mahindra 1626, the New Holland Workmaster 25S. Different countries, different engines, and every one of them lands at 24.8 horsepower. Why is that? Here's the receipt. Title 40 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 1039, the EPA's non-road diesel rule. It doesn't set one standard for all tractors. It sets them by power band, and the band breaks at 19 kilowatts. 19 kilowatts is 25.48 horsepower. Above that line, the particulate limit is tight enough that in practice, you bolt on a diesel particulate filter to hit it. Below it, combustion alone gets you there, and that's the correction I owe you, because the salesman version is wrong, and I've let it slide. Nobody wrote a rule saying under 25 horsepower, you get no emissions equipment. A moderator on TractorByNet says it better than I can. Nothing is required to have a DPF. It just has to meet emissions. And some makers use a diesel oxidation catalyst, some a DPF, some both. 24.8 isn't a legal shield. It's an engineering decision to stay under a number. So, what does crossing that line cost you? Less than the internet says, and more than the dealer says. A fella in Florida tracked his regens for a season. About once every 60 engine hours, 16 minutes, $1 in fuel. Where it goes bad is idling. A small diesel at 800 RPM never gets hot enough to burn the filter clean, and you glaze it. Owners replacing the can out of warranty quote $2,000 to $4,000. Uncommon on a tractor that gets worked. Very common on one that gets idled. Now the part where I argue against myself, because if I only tell you where I'm right, this stops being useful. The thesis has 3 real holes. That loader tops out around 1,200 pounds at the pins, a dry round bale, fine, a wet one, no, the 3-point caps around 1,300, and a heavy 6-foot tiller walks right up to it. And this one catches people. The L2502 has no mid-PTO, which means it cannot run a belly mower. Not that it's a bad idea, it physically cannot. The Deere 25R, the Workmaster, the subcompacts all have mid-PTO. The L does not. 90% of 5 acres, that machine is right. That last 10% is where the upsell lives. Implements, 3 of them, in order. Root grapple first, and I'll fight anybody on that. It's what turns a tractor from a thing that lifts dirt into a thing that cleans up your property. Land Pride's SGC 0554 is around $1,550. Everything attachments wicked grapple, AR 400 steel, full welds is about $2,000. And here's the cost nobody mentions at the counter. That grapple has a hydraulic cylinder, and your loader has no third circuit to run it. You need a third function valve, installed, several hundred to over $1,000. Buy the grapple without the valve, and you've bought a $2,000 boat anchor that sits in the barn till spring. Second, and here's where I'll disagree with half of you. For a gravel driveway, buy the land plane, not the box blade. Land Pride's GS 1560 is around $2,150. The box blade's cheaper, and it will humble you. A fella on TractorByNet puts it plain. The land plane is idiot-proof, because the material just flows over the grader blade instead of piling up, and he says he only uses the land plane for driveway maintenance. A box blade digs in fast and leaves you a washboard you didn't have before. Reshaping a drive, box blade. Maintaining one that already exists, land plane, every time. Third, a 5-foot rotary cutter. Land Pride's RCR 1260 runs $2,200 to $2,600 depending on the dealer, and the sticker says nearly $3,000. County Line and the imports do it for $1,200 to $1,600, and for a homeowner cutting brush twice a year, they'll last you. And while we're on badges, another correction, because I've conflated these myself. There are 2 Titans. Ironcraft out of Athens, Tennessee, used to be called Titan Implement. They changed the name on July 28, 2022. And their own release says why, so there'd be no confusion about where their products come from. Because the other Titan, Titan Attachments, selling off palletforks.com, is an importer. Different company entirely, same word on the box. Somebody tells you Titan is American-made, or Titan is imported junk. They're both half right about 2 different companies. And if that gets under your skin, the implement rebadge video on this channel takes it apart properly. Who actually builds Frontier, and why County Line is a different manufacturer depending on what year you walked into the store. Machine 5. The mower. Here's the trap. You just bought a tractor, so a second machine to cut grass feels wasteful. But your L has no mid-PTO, a belly deck is off the table, and a rear finish mower on a compact is an exercise in backing up. For 2 or 3 acres of lawn, you buy a 0-turn, and the tractor stays on rough ground where it belongs. Now, the marketing math. You've heard a 60-inch 0-turn does an acre in 20 minutes. Real formula is deck width in feet, times speed in miles per hour, times efficiency, divided by 8.25. At 6 miles an hour and 80% efficiency, generous on a lot with trees in it, that deck does about 2.9 acres an hour. And when Bob Vila's people ran a 60-inch homeowner Toro against a 60-inch commercial Toro on 5 acres, the commercial machine finished 15 minutes faster. 15 minutes on 5 acres. So if deck speed isn't the difference, what are you paying for? The transaxle. That's the number that decides whether your mower lasts. Cheap residential 0-turns run a Hydro Gear EZT. It's sealed, no drain plug, no filter, no service. When it wears you, replace the unit. Step up to a ZT 2800 and you get a drain plug and a spin-on filter, and Hydro Gear's own literature calls that one the most rugged residential transaxle they make and says the serviceable design means longer life. Their words. Which brings a second correction. You'll hear commercial machines last 10 times longer. They don't. Sealed units are turning in 500, 600, 700 homeowner hours in the forums, and a serviceable drive with fluid changes runs 2 to 3 times that. 2 to 4 times the life is the honest number. Still plenty of reason to care. All right, now the money. 3 machines a 5-acre owner gets talked into owning that he ought to be renting. Mini excavator, tiller, auger, mini excavator. Rates run $150 to $550 a day, and Home Depot's 1 ton is around $250 with a $500 deposit. But the day rate is not the number. Add the damage waiver, about 12%. Add delivery and pickup, about 120 each way plus mileage. And at most national yards, a weekend counts as one single day, Friday to Monday. The best kept secret in equipment rental. Call it $350 to $500 all in for a real day of digging. That machine new is $30,000 to $45,000. Break even is north of 40 rental days. You'll use it twice. 3-point tiller. Independent yards quote around $235 a day for a 66-inch PTO tiller. Owning one is $1,500 to $3,000. Break even 8 to 12 uses. You till a garden once a year. Auger, $42 a day for a one-man, $68 for a two-man, $95 for a tow behind. Owning a 3-point PTO auger is $700 to $1,200, break even 10 to 15 days of holes. Fencing the whole place, buy used and sell it after. Setting a dozen posts, rent. And one more myth, because it stops people from renting the excavator at all. You do not need a CDL to tow a mini excavator home. FMCSA's own guidance says the commercial license applies to commerce. A driver using a vehicle strictly for non-business purposes doesn't need one unless his state says so. That 26,001 pound number is a commercial threshold. Some states do have a non-commercial Class A for heavy trailers. California wants 1 over 10,000 pounds of trailer rating, so check yours. But needing a CDL is not the reason you're buying an $8,000 backhoe instead of renting. The honest counterweight, and I'm not skipping it, renting fails in April. Everybody wants the mini in spring, rates run 10 to 15% higher in summer, and nobody guarantees you a reservation. Need that machine on one specific weekend, and renting can leave you standing in the driveway with nothing. That's the real cost of my advice, and you should know it before you take it. Now the skip list. 4 items. $40,000. 1. The backhoe attachment. A kubota BH77 is $8,300 to $9,500 new, before the subframe and the thumb. Mount and dismount it twice, and you'll find out it's a 40-minute job either way. A mini excavator rents for $350 and digs deeper with better reach. On cost per hole, it isn't close. And if somebody offers you a 3-point backhoe for $3,000 instead, that's worse. Not cheaper, shallower dig, and all that load hanging off your 3-point hitch. $8,500 saved. 2. The oversized tractor. And this is the big one. Your 25 horsepower compact with a loader is $22,000 to $25,000. The 45 to 60 horsepower utility he's walking you toward is $37,000 to $45,000 and up. $15,000 of delta. And you've bought a DPF and a DEF tank both, double the tire and fluid volume, and a machine heavy enough to rut your own lawn and long enough you can't turn it between the shop and the fence line. $15,000 saved. 3. The new residential zero-turn. $3,000 to $5,000 for a machine with a sealed transaxle you cannot service. That same money buys a used commercial Toro, Skag, or X-Mark with a serviceable drive that outlives it 2 or 3 times over. And I owe you a flag on our own standard here. Those used numbers are asking prices off dealer listings, not realized hammer prices, and realized auction data sits behind a login on most platforms. The one clean sold number I could put hands on is a 2002 John Deere 790 no loader sold at Purple Wave for $3,630. That's a sale. Everything else out there is somebody's ask, and the ask is always high. $5,000 saved. 4. The food plot stack. Somebody will tell you 5 acres means a no-till drill, a cultipacker, a disc, a sprayer, and a spreader. The drill alone is $4,000 on the small end. Whole kit's $9,000 plus. And here's what Mossy Oak's own cost breakdown found when they planted an acre of brassicas. The seed was $59.99. $60. The seed is the cheapest part of the operation. You can hire a custom operator to spray and drill for $250 to $400 an acre. $9,000 of iron against about $1,500 of hiring it done for 5 years. $9,000 saved. 8.5, 15, 5.9, 37,500. And that's before the side-by-side you don't need because you own a truck and a loader, before the $3,000 log splitter when a $1,500 one splits the same firewood. 40,000 isn't a headline. It's arithmetic. So, verdicts. Buy the 25 horsepower compact with a loader, new, with the 0% money if it's on the table. Buy the root grapple and the third function valve in the same transaction, never separately. Buy the land plane if you've got gravel. Buy an economy rotary cutter. A cutter is a wear item and the imports do the job. Buy carefully the mower. Used commercial over new residential, and check the transaxle model number before you check anything else on that machine. Rent the excavator, the tiller, the auger, unless you're fencing the whole place at once, and then buy the auger used and sell it in the fall. Walk away, the backhoe attachment, the bigger tractor, the food plot kit. And here's who I'm wrong for, because I'm always wrong for somebody. Running livestock and handling wet round bales every week. That loader ceiling is a real wall, and the bigger tractor is the right buy. Quarter mile of clay in Michigan, buy the blower. Dig for a living, own the excavator. This is a skip list for a 5-acre residential place, not a judgment on the machines. More buyer's guides like this every week. The used compact inspection walkthrough is already in production, and that's the one where I show you what a worn hydrostatic transmission sounds like before you hand over money. Subscribe so it finds you. And if this saved you money, the video on the 0% financing trap at every tractor dealer will save you more. Because the tractor you just picked right can still be bought wrong. It's on screen now. Go watch that one.